right, welcome in. It is Mornings in Meridian on this Friday morning. 601-485-9191 is our talk line number. Glad to have you aboard here on the 7th day of July, 2023. And the two best hours of local live talk radio here in East Mississippi and West Alabama. Who are we? I am Rob. Happy Friday to everybody. And joining me on the program this morning is my good friend Paul Tarver hanging out with us.
Hey, y'all, it's Paul.
How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Yourself?
Doing good, and welcome to television, too.
Yeah, well, that's a unique... I have a face for radio. I don't know why you put a camera on me, but I understand. I see how it works.
Well, we got a very busy show this morning, of course, leading up to our conversation with Lieutenant Governor candidate Chris McDaniel. He'll be stopping by the studio next hour at 8:30 to talk about his candidacy for the office of Lieutenant Governor. Of course, Republican primaries are coming up on August the 8th. And, folks, you'll also have an opportunity to ask Mr. McDaniel some questions if you want to. And that's what makes our show awesome is you get a chance to interact with the candidates at 601-485-9191.
So let me check and make this point. I mean, I just want to clarify this now.
Mm-hmm.
So the guy who wins would be the number one choice for being number two?
I guess so.
Okay.
It makes sense to me. So.
All right, I was just checking. I want to make sure I had my numbers right.
There you go. You got it all right. But looking forward to having him in the studio. Of course, we had Mr. Hoseman on the show several weeks ago. So those are and there's other candidates too for Delbert Hoseman, of course, the incumbent. We have other candidates too statewide. We're trying to get on the program as well as political season continues. We're almost a month out from the primaries. It'll be a month tomorrow.
I know it's never ending. Because it's just about the time you get a breath and you're thinking it's, you're not in the thick of things again. All of a sudden you're in the thick of things again. Of course, we've been in the thick of things here for several months because I guess the field is so broad for coroner and sheriff.
You don't say.
Sheriff. I can't, the signage is starting to sprout. It's like rabbits. They're starting to pop up everywhere.
Sure.
In fact, somebody posted last night in East Mississippi Community picture in this yard. You couldn't even see all of the signs. They were just
so many of them. I think I know where you're talking about.
Yeah. And I was like,
I believe it's on Poplar Springs Drive.
yeah, it's political season. Yep, it is.
Yep. So, but we're going to have Mr. McDaniel on the program later on. Of course, talk about his platform. Of course, he was down at Long's Fish Camp last night for a political event there in Enterprise and making his rounds. And looking forward to speaking with Chris. I know he's had some other runs for other offices in the past. I know he had a real tough run against Thad Cochran back. Gosh, that seems like it's been forever ago.
That race, if I had to pick one, that race probably changed my perception of politics more than any other race. I mean, I had people that I really respected. I lost a lot of respect for over how that was run and how that was done and how he was done in that whole process. And I have not recovered from that. I am still very I don't know. My eyes were opened, I guess, in the whole process.
Well, and of course, that was the when he ran against the late Thad Cochran, and of course, he also had another run at that seat when I believe it was at least 4 different candidates running in that primary.
Right.
And of course, he did not make it to the next level of that because when you have 4 different folks running in a primary, you know as well as I do, it's such a and some folks in these local races are going to learn that probably because when you get in a 4, 5, 6 person primary, if
6 of them get 1% of the vote, I mean that means that you're not going to show up any higher than 1% yourself. I mean, it's hard to get a cumulative count when you've got that many people.
All right, 601-485-9191. Phone lines are already ringing this morning. Let's go to the phone line. First caller on a Friday, and good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Hey, Joe!
I just love y'all's response when I call.
You're the only one that gets that treatment, I think.
I think so, too.
Yeah. What's on your mind this morning?
I got a question. I told y'all I'm writing some books, right?
Yep. Correct.
Did I give you the introduction to the railroad one?
I don't believe so.
Or did I give you the one for the Christian walk?
It was the one you gave before was the Christian walk, not the railroad one.
Okay, well, let me look for the railroad one real quick, and I'll read it to you. Hold on 1 second.
Well, the only question I got is, are we going to get autographed copies when these are published? I mean,
Well, if you're real nice to me, yes.
Well, I don't know how much nicer we could be. I mean, she comes in and it's like, Joe!
Joe!
I mean, the only thing better would be if we had a horn to blow whenever we walked in the room, you know? I mean,
That would be horrible.
there you go. Ring that
That's a
bell.
bad after effect. Okay, here we go. You ready?
All right, we're ready.
Ladies and gentlemen, these are the stories of the men and women who run the railroad. People with names like Dash, Uncle Wayne, Frenchie, Big Beefy, Glitter Pants, Tootsie, Cookie, and Big Red. These railroaders sacrifice their personal lives to keep the trains running. The railroaders who understand that America survives by trains moving freight through this country. These trains run 24/7, 365. Because of that, as a railroader, you begin to realize that you will miss birthdays, graduations, anniversaries, and most such family responsibilities. You understand your life is no longer your own, but dedicated to the duty of delivering freight. Railroaders work through rain, snow, seemingly deadly southern heat, tornadoes, and hurricanes, the latter of which is done with reasonable exceptions. Some of these stories are crazy antics they put to preserve their sanity. This is a good job with good pay. You either love it or you hate it. Either way, every day is an adventure. There are good times and bad. Every railroader prays every night to make it home to their families. Now, I invite you to gain insight and learn about the railroaders, the trains, and how the system works. You will come away with a new understanding of life on the railroad.
Nice.
Yeah, I want a copy.
Hey.
Put me down. I'll buy a copy.
Yes.
Oh, you think that's pretty good, Hugh?
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Well,
I want to hear the name, how these guys got their names. Tell that story. I want to know
Well,
those.
I'm not privileged to tell the stories about how they got their names because then that would reveal who they really
There we
are.
go. Their identities are protected by their.
All right. I understand the security needs
That's
here.
literally privileges like the dot, you know?
Gotcha.
Right.
Well, put me down on the list when you get your train one going. Holla at me. I want a copy.
Oh, well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
All right.
I've been working on interviewing people and trying to get an idea of how the system works. So I'm not sure. I don't know if I want to call it railroad tales or if I want to call it from the tower to the train. What do you think?
Well, train has already been taken. By,
Yeah,
you
I'm
can't
about to
use that.
say.
No,
Yeah.
I said from the tower.
From the tower to the train.
No,
yeah.
I'm saying Train is a song by Blackfoot. You can't use that because that
Oh,
title's
no, I
already been
wasn't
taken.
going to do Yeah, I know that song. No, I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, it's a good
But
song,
yeah,
too.
it's pretty good. There's been a lot of stuff that's been going on around here lately, and I think that a lot of people only realize that the train is running. I don't think they realize that the train has to get put together. The train has to go deliver at industries, what it takes to put them in there, you know, how long it takes for that to get done, what actually happens with the train. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that happens on these trains I didn't even know about.
Right, it's very
Oh, well,
complicated.
Yeah, and a lot of times when I get down to 49th Avenue, you know, I've got to go down there and wait for the train. And usually, you know, what happens is there might be a train already parked. There's another train coming in, and there's also the train that's working, putting another train together for another crew. And when I see the guys the traffic start to pile up on 49th Avenue, I roll up to the window and I'm like, y'all need to go, you know, move. I said, these car trains are going to be here for a while and there's another one coming. And you should see the reactions I get. You know, they get all bad from, you know, oh no, why they do that? You know, that kind of stuff too. Thank you for letting me know. And I even had one guy who was in an 18-wheeler parked in front of the co-op. And I said, look, I said, this train's going to be a while. He said, ma'am, I've been waiting here for almost an hour and a half.
Ooh.
Wow.
I said, I'll tell you what. I said, you back up and turn around because there's nobody behind you right now. I said, turn around. I said, where are you going? He said, to the Budweiser plant. I said, okay, follow me. I'll show you how to get there. And next time, you don't have to come this exit. Go to the next exit, and you're right there.
Look at you
And
being
I
all
showed him how to get there.
being all helpful and stuff.
I like it.
Well, you know, that's why everybody loves Joe because I'm a nice person. I
There.
really am.
That's right.
That's right.
Well, all right, all right, my dear. Well, good to hear from you.
You know, I love y'all. Bye.
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 Love Joe. 601
Catch my breath.
Yeah, 485-9191. Hey, this portion of Mornings of Meridian is brought to you by, well, some good folks out there. Doug Martin Sr., Doug Martin Jr. over at Martin Roofing. I'm a satisfied customer like a lot of folks are out there.
Me too. I've actually had them work on my commercial building, and they've done a great job keeping the water out of the building and, and making the roof as secure as they could. And if you have a problem with your roof at your home, if you think you have a problem with your roof, give them a call. They'll come out. They'll do a free estimate, let you know what's going on, tell you what you need done. And if you need a full roof replacement, they will do it and make it cleaner. Your yard will be cleaner when they're finished than it was before they started. They clean up everything. You're not going to have any problems with that. And they handle all manner of roofing products like shingles and metal and rubber and commercial type roofing situations. I'm assuming that the commercial would be more like the hot tar and that kind of stuff. All I know is that a Martin roof is a great roof, and you need to get one today. They're a member of the Better Business Bureau, which is easy for us to say, but it's hard sometimes to keep up the standards to that level. What they want you to do, either Doug or Doug, you can call either one of them, would like for you to give them a call at 601-485-5920 and let them help you with any of your roofing needs. That's Martin Roofing, 601-485-5920.
All right, we got all kind of phone lines ringing this morning. We got two ringing. Let's go to line 2 here. Hey, caller, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are y'all doing today?
Hello,
good. How are
Zane.
you, Zane?
Well, I got an unofficial railroad story.
All
It is
right.
verified, true, and correct.
Okay.
As a board member of the Meridian Rails Historical Society, I must say that this is not the opinion of the Railroad Society or any, all that stuff. Engineers have their own style of blowing the horn or the whistle.
I'm aware of that.
Not so much now.
It's still
Not so much now they got the sequencer.
No, it's still that way because the one that comes through Meridian at 2 or 3 times a night is different. You can tell who's driving the train by how they're blowing the horn.
So anyway, there used to be up on the hill a house full of working girls back in the day.
Uh-huh.
And so they could tell which engineer was coming in based on the sound of his whistleblower or horn blow.
Right.
And if he needed their services, he would add an extra blow to it. And so he would add his blow and then what the girls, to call them.
Wow.
So basically the girls would come running down the hill when they knew that, the certain engineer was one of their customers was coming in.
So that's how they did things before cell phones.
Yeah.
Was use a train whistle.
That's it. Just blow the train whistle a certain way, and they knew, hey, come on down, so-and-so's here. And they'd meet him down at the station.
I could see where that would work.
Yeah. So, Joe, you need to add that in your book. Give me a call. We'll talk about it. No names in there.
There you go.
Well, thank you, sir.
Anyway.
Appreciate that.
Yeah,
How's
good
things
to see you
going
there, Paul.
How's things going at the Historical Society?
They're going great. We've got a really good board down there.
Right.
And they're working hard in blending the model railroad layout in the museum and the actual historical artifacts in the museum. And we're working real hard to keep it where it doesn't end up being a model railroad club, and it's a little more than a museum.
Gotcha.
Then we've got the little train that you can ride on in the back. It's officially ours now, and we're about to do some track work on it, some extensions, and make it a lot better experience to come down there and ride our little train around the back.
Very cool.
And if you can fit in, you can ride. So.
All righty.
And it's not just a kid thing.
Beautiful.
I saw an online video somewhere where they've got these rideable outdoor trains, and they have something like 38 miles of track.
Oh, wow.
It's like a 2-hour loop that they take.
How about that?
It's pretty amazing. Some of this stuff is
And
pretty.
we're not going to be that big.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's a big draw. A lot of people want to find out more about trains, so I think you're in a good spot.
Yeah, it is. We had the Christmas train down, and we had more kids that were interested in riding our little train than seeing Santa Claus. So that's a cool deal.
There we go.
All right, brother. Thank you for calling.
Well, you guys have a wonderful day. Take care.
Appreciate
You
it.
too.
All right, 601-485-9191. Let's go back to line 1 here. Hey, caller, welcome in.
Tales of the Rails by Joe the Whistleblower.
There you go.
There we go.
And, she is a whistleblower. She's called with a lot of breaking stories, don't you think?
Do what now? Say again?
I said she is a whistleblower. Really, she's called with a lot of breaking stories over the years.
Absolutely.
There you go. But I just feel like she's like Norm on Cheers. When she comes in, you just can't help but holler Joe.
Joe!
Yeah.
Well, everybody's got their railroad story, but my grandfather was a conductor on the Southern between Meridian and New Orleans, and I'll never forget the first time I went across Lake Pontchartrain in a train.
Mm-hmm.
You look out the window and you couldn't see anything but water. No rails, no bedding, no nothing, just water.
You know, Jimmy, I had a similar experience, although it was air travel. I was flying into Logan Airport in Boston, and we were coming in over the airport that's been extended out into the bay. And as the plane lowers and gets lower and lower, you lose all sight of land. All you see is water underneath the plane. Because the runway is just so wide. And all you see, and I'm thinking the first time I landed in Logan, I was like, we're fixing to drown.
I believe LaGuardia is a similar situation. And,
oh, man.
But anyway.
It's scary.
How was your Red Goat trip?
It was good. We had a good time. We'll be cutting that melon probably tonight.
Beautiful.
Well, good.
We'll find out about that tonight. But yeah, we had a good day that day. It was a fun day. The wife and I.
Well, it was good seeing y'all.
Yeah, it was. It was. I told what he's talking about is Tuesday. The wife and I went around and visited some flea markets and stuff we had not been to or whatever. And we went to a place called Red Goat.
I know exactly where that's
Hickory.
at. Yeah.
And we got out of the car and we hear our names being called over here. Jimmy's hunkered down behind his truck door to hide.
Well, it's good to know the mayor of Chunky has gotten out of Chunky to go do something. So
well, the thing is, it's like when I realized who it was, I said, I bet the last person he expected to see was me getting out of a car in a parking lot in Hickory. Because I don't get out much. But
Rob, I had the opportunity for the 812th time to tell the story about his wedding, so it was well worth it. But changing the subject.
Yeah.
Who's in charge of the White House?
That's a hell of a question.
Well, the cocaine was found here. No, it's found here. Then it's found here.
Well, I don't know. I was going to make a joke about the cartels are in charge. But
it's funny. The New York Post this morning put odds on who the cocaine belongs to, and Hunter obviously is 2-1 favorite now. So.
There was a great photo of the press conference from D.C. police. From Babylon Bee, and they were holding up. They had a picture of the bag. It said "Property of H. Biden," and underneath it said, "DC Police says it's unlikely they will ever know who this belongs to."
Of course.
I mean, tell you, it's unreal how they're covering those folks.
Look, they're making Billy Carter look good.
Oh, I was thinking about that just the other day. I'm so glad you brought that up.
Billy was laughing stock, but they're making Billy look absolutely normal now.
Well, I mean, I don't know that Billy sold the taxpayers and citizens of this country out like Biden has.
I agree. Billy's big thing was selling Billy
beer. That's right.
That's what he was selling, but I don't think many Chinese were buying Billy beer. So
no, I don't think so. Or putting him on the board of some company, and Ukraine, Russia. It's unreal. There is a professor in Israel that has come out. Luft, I believe is his name. That's come out with a video, and he was going. He said he was arrested in Cyprus because he was going to testify in front of a House committee, and he talks about all the stuff that they've done, and it's just unreal.
Look, here's the thing. There was a news story going around yesterday. I heard it a couple different times about him getting paid $86,000 a month.
That's right.
And he was looped in on a meeting with the president of one of them stands.
Ukraine, I think.
Yeah, well, Ukraine, you're right. And, how they were looping in the big guy on the meeting and everything else. And I'm like, this is the same guy who stood up on video. The president stood up and boasted about how he bullied them into firing the prosecutor who was looking into this Burisma stuff.
In Ukraine. That's
and
exactly right.
It's like those words are going to have to come back to haunt him. If they don't, Jimmy, what little respect I have for law at the upper echelons at this point. I'm sure your everyday law enforcement guys are amazing, right? But there are two levels of justice in this country. If your name starts with a B or C, you don't get taken into court. You don't
Justice Department, the FBI. What can I say?
You know, and I'm sorry, the FBI has never had a great history in terms of being, you know, I mean, think about it. J. Edgar Hoover was not the best guy leading the FBI ever, right?
Absolutely.
So I just, whatever credibility they've got has just got, and the Justice Department with Garland or whatever his name is, I don't care anymore. But the point is that it makes it to where it's really frustrating for everyday citizens to sit around and go, there is no justice.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, I know we're up against the break.
Yeah,
but,
right on top of it.
It's unreal how what Biden talks about gun control.
Yeah.
How many guns and weapons and all did he leave in Afghanistan?
Yeah, a bunch.
Unreal.
So,
Bye.
Bye. All right, 601-485-9191. We're going to take this break for Fox News. We'll be back. Six zero 485-9191. Some Beatles as we come back in. And, well, today is Ringo Starr's birthday.
Ringo!
83.
My man Ringo.
Other birthdays on the list today. Olympic medalist figure skater Michelle Kwan is 43 years old today. And as we look through some of the other birthdays here, Shelley Duvall, actress, is turning 74. Of course, The Shining still gives me the old creepos.
And her the creepos, too.
Yeah, I think so. Here's Johnny. And, of course, the late baseball legend Satchel Paige was born on this day in 1906. Of course, he passed away in 82. So
I want to go back to Ringo. If you want to hear some really great music, go back and check out Ringo's All-Star Bands. He played in after the Beatles.
Yeah.
And toured with. There's some great mixtures of artists all in one band playing the stuff they want to play. It's fabulous.
Big thanks to Premier Paint and Body, folks, as we move along here on Mornings in Meridian. Of course, less than an hour, we're going to have Chris McDaniel on the program, Lieutenant Governor candidate. But let's thank our friends at Premier, Danny Shelton and the staff.
Well, if your car needs help, see what I did there?
Help!
Yeah. Then you need to go see Premier Paint and Body. My friend Danny Shelton and the whole team down there at Premier Paint and Body. They have oodles of years of experience. I mean, more than anybody else in town. They have a dedicated, hardworking staff. They're just good people, and they want your car to be as much like it was when it came off the showroom floor, and as safe, if not safer, than when it came off. And they would really appreciate it if you give them a call. If you got a dent, a ding, a scratch, a whole fender missing, front end crushed, they'll turn it into something beautiful. And they would love for you to give them a call. No job too small or too large. They work with all insurance companies, and I mean they work the insurance companies over. They do what's right and make sure that the insurance people are not the ones making decisions about your car. Their technicians are the ones that make the decisions. They're located next to Johnson Dodge on Highway 39 North here in Meridian. They're open 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. They'll be open in about 24 minutes. And they would love for you to come by and let them see if they can help you. Or you can just give them a call at 601-482-PAINT. That's 601-482-7246. Premier Paint and Body.
Well, Paul, crime in Meridian continues. Of course,
we have crime in Meridian?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Just checking.
Well, Meridian police said an armed robbery happened early yesterday morning in the 300 block of Highway 19 North. Officers responded at 2:25 a.m. The MPD says the victim reported he was threatened with a gun and cash was taken. Meridian police also said a person was robbed Wednesday at around 4 p.m. in the 200 block of 5th Avenue. The victim told officers he was threatened with a gun and his property was taken. MPD said both cases are under investigation. That's courtesy of the Meridian, actually a WTOK rather. And also, if you want to tag another one onto the back end of that, Meridian police responded to a reported armed robbery yesterday at 5:20. The location is a convenience store at the corner of 20th Street and 35th Avenue. The suspect was described as a black male wearing blue jeans and a green sweatshirt who used a gun in the holdup. If you have information about any of those crimes, of course, you can always call Crime Stoppers 855-485-8477. That's 855-485-8477. So, Paul, 3 in a row right there.
Yeah.
Bing, bang, boom.
The first two had a very similar MO. You said the person threatened them with a gun, it took off.
Sure.
Okay. Is that where they were on foot, or is this a...
It sounds like it's on foot to me. I mean, didn't really describe it any other way than that, I would think. I mean,
okay.
No vehicle.
It wasn't like somebody pulled up next to a red light and brandished a gun and made them throw their stuff over.
No bicycle this time.
Okay.
No bicycle.
Well,
so
I'll tell you what. You know what solved that problem?
What's that?
A drone.
Oh, you're going to bring the drone up. I knew it. We talked about that all day yesterday. So,
well, they can buzz
the drone.
Them.
Yeah, they can buzz them?
Buzz them, yeah. Oh, we got a crime.
Of course, we're referencing the story that came out, what was it, a day or so ago. Jimmy Smith said that the Meridian Police Department, a drone is going to be coming in the next couple of days. So...
Well, only if it's a drone that's armed will it have any effect. Because obviously putting cameras on light poles hadn't really changed a whole lot, right?
Don't get me started on that, please.
Okay.
601-485.
Sorry, I didn't need to stir your pot.
He's already stirred.
When you read these stories, it's stirred enough. So
I know.
Let's go to the phone line. Hey, caller, welcome in.
Welcome. How y'all doing this morning?
Hey, good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm all right. I got a question about one of those news stories you just said. You said one person got robbed at 2 o'clock in the morning on Highway 19?
Yep, let me go back to it here. Yeah, Meridian Police said an armed robbery happened early Thursday morning in the 300 block of Highway 19 North. Officers responded at 2:25 a.m.
Okay, so what are they doing out at 2 o'clock in the morning on Highway 19? First of all,
Yeah.
there ain't nothing open.
Yeah.
So I mean, well, obviously they're up to no good. That sounds like there's more to that story than what should be. They're probably out doing something together, and somebody got mad and robbed the other one.
Yeah, because the other two crimes, the one that happened on Wednesday was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then the robbery at the convenience store yesterday was at 5:20 in the afternoon. So,
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm like, yeah.
Those sound normal.
Yeah, that's normal crime. The other one, there's a lot more to it.
Well, the location of that first crime seemed odd to me.
We're going to start
300 block of what did you say?
Highway 19. We're going to start labeling the crime and that's a normal crime that happens in the middle of the day. The rest of these in the morning, not so normal.
Well, it used to be when you was growing up, they always said nothing good happens after midnight.
You're right.
And I'm not trying to victim shame or anything like that, but I kind of agree with you to a certain degree.
Yeah.
If you're out walking the streets at 2 o'clock in the morning, that's a dangerous place to be.
Yeah.
You're asking for trouble, especially if you're not armed.
I wasn't going to say that. I was just going to say you have a red neon sign around and it says "Rob me." You know?
Exactly. I mean, there's no reason why I would be out at 2 o'clock in the morning over by Walmart, which is a 300 block, for no reason. There's just no way.
I wonder if that was, all right, let me just put the pieces together. I can't go there.
You go there.
Well, I was going to speculate. We have these people who are not supposed to be collecting money at the corners that are collecting money at the corners. If they're out and about, they would be a prime target because if they've got any money, Now,
wait a minute. That shouldn't be happening. Those signs are supposed to take care of all that.
Well, I'm just saying.
Okay.
If you're going to be there, nighttime would be the best time because it's too hot in the daytime.
That's true.
Yeah, but why would they be there at 3 o'clock in the morning? There's no traffic.
Because it's cooler.
Walmart is closed.
I know, but it's cooler.
Yeah, but again, that's still pointless. I mean, you could be sleeping. You're not going to get any money from there,
Yeah.
I have more questions than answers, okay?
Well, since we're throwing questions out there, these stories always end with the line, and obviously it's always going to be the line. MPD said both cases are under investigation. My gosh, we're so understaffed right now in the police department. How many investigators do we have? They got to be overwhelmed at this point. I mean, really.
Well, and that's another point. You were talking yesterday about how they had $100 or $1 million in surplus or whatever.
Yeah.
Why aren't we doing what I've been saying we should be doing for years now? Why don't we have specific detectives for specific things, like other bigger cities, homicide, robbery? We have sex crimes. We have something like that. No, we have a detective that does everything.
Yeah.
So that they're going to miss things. They're going to miss details. They're going to miss certain things because they're not an expert in that field.
Yeah, you're right.
And so, and then we have a detective that does a million things as opposed to a detective or multiple detectives that do one or two. You're overworking your detectives and you're overworking your staff for no reason because you don't want to send them back to school to get them retrained for something else. And that's unacceptable to me. That's
Well, I can tell you when you're laser focused on one thing,
right,
you generally become an expert at it.
Exactly.
It's like I don't repair diesel engines. I write software. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm good at writing software. I suck at repairing diesel engines.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I kind of agree with him to a certain point that we need to have some separation there in terms of because they're going to learn the community, they're going to know who's involved in this kind of stuff. And if the sheriff has told us anything, he's told us that there is a minimum number of people committing the majority of the crimes.
Right.
That's correct.
If you were trying to get into that community, break into that community and understand what's going on, you would want somebody who was able to focus on that until they were able to break the case. Just my thought.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, he's exactly right. Now, do I say we're like every other bigger city? No, we're not even a big city. But we need to be smarter police as opposed to active. We need to be more proactive as opposed to, responsive. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We need to be doing things that are going to deter crime, and that is one of them. If you get to know those people and you get to know how they pick and how they think, you're going to solve the crime before they even commit it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I mean, so that's just, again, I'm not law enforcement, so they may know something that I don't know, but I don't see it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I mean,
well, and the leadership is not going to be forthcoming in that information because they're not forthcoming with most information. So
exactly, and that's another issue. Why are you hiding issue from us? I don't understand it. And that's, again, well, we can't comment about this because it's an ongoing investigation. Well, how does an ongoing investigation, how does you commenting on that affect the investigation in any way? Either there is an investigation and you've got all the evidence you need, or you don't and you're not going to.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't understand how talking about it's going to affect the investigation, because that means that, well, you're not actually having evidence. You have to worry about somebody else's story, and that's all it is in and of itself is a story.
Right.
So, I mean, we don't know if that person's telling the truth or not anyway. So, I don't see how talking about something could be hindered. But that's just the way, that's the norm. It started back in the 50s and 60s with the mob. Oh, we don't want to talk about this ongoing investigation because they were trying to cover things up, and that's just the way it's always been. Now it's just the norm. Everybody talks about that. Yeah. Oh, we don't want to talk about this ongoing investigation.
Well, how many years was it that we didn't have gangs in Meridian?
Exactly. And then yet you have the mayor signing a contract with them. Oh, they won't commit crime now. They got contracts with them. I mean, come on. So, I don't know.
All right. Well, we appreciate you out there this morning.
Thank you.
All right, 601-485-9191. So let's go back to the phone line. But before we do that, let's thank one of our good buddies, and that's Billy Adam Calvert and the staff down at Southern Business Supply. Mr. Calvert does a lot for his district over in Jackson and really watches out for us, but also watches out for your businesses as well. A lot of good office supplies there.
Southern Business Supply, local family-owned, obviously, and they've been operating for 38 years. They have staff has been there, get this, over 124 years of service combined.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing. If they don't know office supplies, nobody does. They service all of Meridian and surrounding areas. They have everything from general office supplies, janitorial supplies, water coolers. They actually, I'm going to give them a plug. They donate water to Pancake Jubilee every year for us to use with their coffee. It's great water. Break room supplies. They got furniture, office, home office, anything that you need, and usually offer next day delivery on most of their supplies and the furniture and everything else. So Southern Business Supply, they're located at 5685 Dale Drive here in Meridian, and they're open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., so they're going to be opening it up in about 12, 13 minutes. And they'd love to help you with your office supplies, your water supplies, anything like that, to help your office run more efficiently and better. Call them at 601-485-2447.
All right, phones are ringing, so be patient with us. We're going to get to you. Let's go to line 2 here. Hey, caller, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. How y'all doing?
Hey, morning, sir. How are you?
I may have not looked at the full picture about 19 North.
Okay.
It's government-assisted housing on both sides of the road there. If he wants to think them people sleep right through there at 3 o'clock in the morning, just like down here where I live. They never close. You can buy drugs down here 24 hours a day.
More last night, I'm assuming.
Yep.
Yep.
Well, that does put a different picture on it. I mean, if it's
Well, I told y'all a long time ago, that's our biggest problem is government housing. Nobody believes it. We got more government housing than anybody in the state per capita. Probably the world.
Yeah, there's a lot of it for sure. So, well,
all right. It's down there on the interstate. It's out Washington. It's all around here. It's out there on 20th Street. Several places out on 20th Street out in there. And both sides of 19. Down Highway 11, 80.
Oh, yeah.
It's everywhere.
That's right. Well, all right, my friend.
Y'all got a good show. Keep it up.
Well, we appreciate it. And, of course, he checks in with us on a daily basis, so but appreciate him giving us a call.
That brings up a different point, though. If they were robbing a drug dealer, would the drug dealer then call the cops because he got robbed?
It's a fair, fair point, but,
somebody lost their baggie in the White House. I don't think they called anybody.
No, I don't think so, but let's go back to the phone line. That's a good point. Hey, caller, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hey, good morning.
It's the mayor of Suckalina.
Well, I got a question. There's something called a HIPPO law, I believe it is, that prevents surveillance from the air to bring charges against anyone, like you following them or you gathering information on the ground or whatever. Now, Does that apply to drones also? That's observance from the air.
What's that law called again?
I believe it's called the HIPPO law.
The HIPAA or HIPPO?
Don't make me lie.
Okay, because
I don't know exactly, but
all right. Well, the HIPAA law is a law that protects your medical information from being shared. So I'm guessing that would be the HIPPO. Then I'll have to look that up because I'm not familiar with that law. I didn't know they had one that could prevent people from surveilling you from the air.
Well, back when I was flying to CAP, that's one of the things that they would advise us, that once you can't follow somebody from the air, and if you find information from the air and then try to, if it's known that that's how it's gotten, they'll dismiss it.
Well, when Google started doing satellite photography over places, they got in trouble because a lot of times people be nude sunbathing on their roofs. and people would find this. It was actually a thing. People were going on the maps trying to find stuff. And now when you go, there's a lot of times you have even whole sections are just blurred out because they've passed a law in that area or whatever. It says you can't show this on Google Earth satellite or anything like that.
Right.
So there may very well be a law that prevents surveilling from the sky, but would the law apply to the general public and not the police, or would the police have a waiver because they are trying to prevent crime?
Yeah. Well, I can't answer those questions, but I just remember some of the classes I attended when we was having the orientation about drugs and observant, and we was looking mainly for marijuana and that sort of thing from the sky.
Yeah. Well, all right, sir. Well, good to hear from you. How's everything else up in Secalina this morning?
Well, everything's copacetic. Everything's going good. The sun came up, and I'm still above ground, so we all fat, happy, and sassy.
Well, be listening. Be listening at 8:30. We'll have Chris McDaniel on the show at 8:30.
Great. I hope you all have a great day.
Thank you. I feel much better already.
There it is. Before we get to our next call, let's thank our friends up in Philadelphia, folks. And if you're looking for a vehicle, get a Toyota at Doc's Toyota.
I was up in Philadelphia a couple of weeks ago and went by and saw their lot. It's huge.
Nice.
That's a big place. It's very nice. And you need to go up there and check out all the cars and trucks that they have on that lot. Whether it's new or used or anything else, they've got it. They got a sales and service department that can't be beat. And you can even check out what they have online. They have a website at docstoyota.com. But I'm going to tell you, you're not going to get the full extent of this until you go up and actually see the lot. So I would suggest if you want to make a weekend trip of it or something, go up on Saturday and check them out. Go take your wife to dinner at the casino and tell her you bought a car. I mean, that's how you work all that stuff out. But Doc's Toyota is ready to service your needs, whatever they are. And they're open Monday through Friday and on Saturday from 8:30 to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday and from 9 a.m. to 3:30 on Saturday. And their service department is open similar hours. They're already open in the service department, taking people in from 7:30 to 5 p.m. on Monday through Friday and then 8 a.m. to 12 noon on Saturday. So they've got a full sales and service department ready to assist you, whatever your needs are. You can give them a call at 601-600-3786. That's 601-600-3786. I'll get it right in a minute.
No, you're fine. Let's go back to the phone line. Hey, caller, good morning to you. Okay, well, they gave up on us.
I love those calls.
Yeah. So,
they're so informative.
Yeah. But 300 block of Highway 19, getting back to that story. So sounds like there's those type of living quarters there on each side of the road, according to one of our callers there. So.
And I kind of agree with the caller. What are you doing out at 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
What are you doing out there?
Yeah.
But if that's the norm, I guess it's the norm. But it ain't the norm in my neighborhood. We sleep by then.
Yeah, the only time I'm getting up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning is if you got to go to the old bathroom.
Well,
I got the urge. I got to go.
Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. I'm old enough that applies, so I'm not going to.
Folks, we're going to take a quick break, pay off some of these bills. Don't forget, Chris McDaniel, Lieutenant Governor candidate, will be on the air with us at 8:30. If you got a question for him, let us know. 485-9191. We'll be back. No reason in playing that. Just kind of felt like it.
Works for me.
601-485-9191. Got just a few more minutes before we get to the top of the hour in your Fox News break. Of course, we'll have your local news right after some Fox News. See what's going on in the area. And, of course, Chris McDaniel, Lieutenant Governor candidate, will be on the air with us at 8:30. So if you got a question for Mr. McDaniel, you can get that in right now at 485-9191 because we can promise you that 30 minutes is going to fly by fast. So
the first hour of the show went poof.
Yeah, it really does. So, but we'll have Chris on coming up next hour and talk about his candidacy for lieutenant governor as primaries are bearing down on us August the 8th. So we're about a month out. So, but before we get to some news updates, let's thank our friends down at Purvis Business Machines. You know, folks, Jerry and Betty Purvis, solid folks here in our community. And when we talk about Purvis, you also got to talk about Don Lucas as well.
Well, and that's the cool thing about doing these commercials. We've talked about this before. We're talking about our friends, and Don is a longtime friend of mine.
Mm-hmm.
He and I have been in the tech business for, all these years we've been working together. And, he calls me and I call him, and we just work together, and he's just good people. He has a heart for helping people, and I can't say enough good about Don and his work that he does with people with office supply equipment like printers and copiers and just all manner of things to help make your office more efficient. Don is not only can he help you in terms of sales, but he has a vast technical knowledge in terms of being able to help you figure out what's going wrong if you have a problem. But that's the thing, it's service, not excuses. And Don has grown up in that business and has that as his heart as well. Jerry and Betty have created something that's magical. It's been there a long time, and it's going to continue a long time with people like Don there. And I hope you'll go give them a call at 601-693-COPY, 601-485-5364, and let them help you with your office equipment needs, and they will do a great job for you. We promise you that.
Absolutely. So we got Fox News up next, of course, followed by some local news, and we'll get into our second hour of Mornings in Meridian in just moments. Of course, Chris McDaniel will be here at 8:30 to talk about his candidacy for lieutenant governor here on Mornings in Meridian. So stay close. We'll be back with hour 2 in minutes. right, welcome back in. It's Mornings in Meridian here on News Talk 102.1 WALT. You got Rob and Paul Tarver. Good morning to you, sir.
Hey, y'all, it's Paul.
We're
for another hour.
Yeah, speeding right through another hour here.
That first one went fast.
We got a caller who's been waiting patiently on the line. Tell you what, before we get to our next advertiser, let's go ahead and take that phone call. They've been waiting for a few minutes here. Hey, caller, welcome into the second hour here.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, just looking out the window at the jaybird.
Oh man! Get ready for that drone. Get ready for that drone to be flying by your house soon.
He might get shot down.
Well, all I can tell you is that they better not fly that over to Suba. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you're right about that.
Just my personal opinion.
Well, I had three questions about the drone.
Yeah.
How are they going to cover the land and businesses and everything else with one drone? Number one. Number two, are they going to be able to fly it at night? Number three, is it going to take pictures, nice pictures, so something you can go back and go over and look at it? And what's the upkeep on it? I mean, I just, it's like making banana pudding there and putting everything in there except the bananas. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I just don't see how one drone is going to cover the real estate in Lauderdale County, up there in Lauderdale County.
I could understand your question. But the good news is they only have to cover the city, right? Because
the city is going to be the city.
It's a city drone, as opposed
still a lot of coverage there,
as opposed to a country drone.
Okay.
Don't know the difference, but it sounds good to me.
It sounded good. So
yeah, it sounded good. Yeah.
Well, I was just wondering there. You know, them things got a lot of upkeep, expensive, blah blah blah, and all that stuff.
There's a good bit of training that goes into learning how to fly one efficiently and effectively, and I assume they would have routes that they would run with that.
Yeah.
And when they go up to it, depending on how high they're running it, you know, obviously the amount of coverage you have, you'd have. Well, let's go back and talk about, you know, military drones. They run at really high altitude and they have high resolution cameras and they can kind of zoom in wherever they want to go.
Right.
And so what they're probably going to be doing is using it in hot spots, not all over the city, quite honestly.
Well, is Meridian not definitely a hot spot?
Well, not all of it. I mean, let's not make it that bad. I mean, there's some safer areas around town. It's not all bad.
Well, I was placed. Hopefully, would be them flying around in the church. To me, that's the only coverage they gonna get is gonna be worth anything.
Well, understood.
Well, I just want to throw my 2 cents in it.
All right. Well, I don't have any change for you, so I'll have to pay it back next week.
I don't get my allotment till the end of the year.
All right, there you go. So we'll put it in the jar. So
this show is a leave a penny, take a penny kind of show, man.
That's right. So.
That's what it is.
Well, I'll send y'all 10 cents in the mail.
Nice.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
601-485-9191. Big thanks to the Carr family down at Trucker Supply, of course, helping us bring Mornings in Meridian. Folks, Tool Central, Milwaukee, that's the spot to go to, is out there on Highway 19 South.
Well, I mean, you could say words. You could do this as a word game. You could say car, truck.
Yeah.
You could say tool. You could say hot seat. You could say Milwaukee. And all of those would be descriptive of Trucker Supply and the things that they offer and the quality equipment and services and tools that they have available. I mean, you just walk in there and there's something you're gonna see something you need. And maybe you don't even know you need it, but they got it and they can supply it, and they can help you out. I forgot Yeti in that list.
Oh,
so
yeah,
they got a bunch of
Yeti,
Yetis, flashlights. They got all kinds of flashlights and stuff. Look, it's not word salad. It is Trucker Supply, and you go down there and find everything you want. They're located at 519 Highway 19 South And they're ready to help you get all the tools you need to accomplish all your goals, whether it's home, vehicle, you name it. They've got the tools and products to help you get the job done. 601-693-2316, and they would love to help you today. Tell them we sent you.
All right, our number here at Mornings of Meridian, of course, 485-9191. And coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to be visiting with Lieutenant Governor candidate Chris McDaniel. Is going to be stopping by our studio here at Mornings of Meridian to discuss his candidacy for that position, of course, that is currently held by Lieutenant Governor Delbert Hosemann. So, of course, we keep saying over and over again, Paul, this is probably going to be the hottest primary race in the state. Of course, Governor Reeves will have Mr. Presley, I think, is going to give him a good little push probably once we get into the general election, because those will probably be the two gentlemen that be running for that high office. But just real quick before we get to the next phone call, your thoughts on the lieutenant governor's race.
Well, like I kind of gave my thought earlier whenever I kind of laid it out like this. I mean, we're looking for the number one guy to be the number two in the state.
Right.
But the number two guy in the state actually has a valid role, and there's action that he has to do on the floor of the House over in Jackson, and he's involved in a lot of that negotiation to get bills through. So it's an important role, and I don't think it's one, I kind of minimized it. I wasn't trying to minimize it, but I mean, it is an important role and not one we should just throw just anybody into that position. And, some of the questions that I have are related to, obviously McDaniel coming in as the candidate running against an incumbent. I would be interested in hearing what he feels like are the major things that need to change. Obviously, he's there because he feels like he's running against him because he feels like something needs to change.
Right.
And I think it would be fair to ask that question, because we may not understand everything that or may not know about everything that needs to change, and maybe he's got some inside knowledge he can share with us. And,
of course, folks have questions. We can take those beforehand, because imagine they're going to be few and far between to get into that window when we have Chris in the studio. So let's go back to the phone line here. Hey, caller, welcome in.
How y'all doing, guys?
Hey, doing good. What's going on?
Oh, man, there's just so much to talk about in so little time. The crime thing. What year was it, guys, that George Bush Sr. went into? We went into Kuwait on Desert Storm. What year was that?
Oh gosh, what was that, Paul? That was 89, 90, something like that.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I've been calling in, and we've been talking about crime ever since then. And and 40, 30 years from now, we're still going to be, if the Lord allows, we're still going to be sitting down here talking about how bad the crime is and how worse it's getting.
Right.
And it's the same thing that we said. Until you start punishing criminals, it doesn't matter how many drones you have. It doesn't matter how many new police officers you put out on the street. It don't matter how big your jail is. Until we go back to punishing criminals severely for committing crimes, it's only going to get worse. And we can talk till the cows come home, but that's the way it's going to be. So don't look for crime to get any better. It's only going to get worse. Am I right or am I wrong?
I can't disagree.
That it's a sad state of affairs. The ACLU and all the other things have said we are just too mean to these criminals once we catch them. And actually, law enforcement, especially on the sheriff's department, is doing a great job of apprehending the criminals and putting them and catching them and doing all they're supposed to do. But then they get into the trial date and it's plea bargains, and let's just see if we can get them out of here. We don't want to have to fool with them. So let's see if we can just get them on through the system and go on to the next one.
Well, I can't believe that you're calling and talking like that, and you don't realize the importance of catch and release. You know that they're only going to get bigger if you throw them back in.
Yeah, they got that's they get bigger.
I got him. He threw him completely out of his game. Sorry, man.
And they're more emboldened and everything else when you do that with them. So no drone's going to help. No additional police officers is going to help. But here's another thing while we're talking about crime. Now Jackson's crime is so bad. Everything's geared toward Jackson. East Central Mississippi gets nothing. But what do we do over there? Spend millions of dollars enhancing the Capitol Police Force so that they can fight crime in Jackson. Well, I'm not worried about crime in Jackson. I don't care what happens in Jackson. I don't live in Mississippi to take care of Jackson's infrastructure.
There's a solution to that.
For some reason, the legislature thinks that we're supposed to do that.
There's a solution.
I don't care.
There's a solution to that. All we need to do is expand the Capitol Police's thing so that they can include Meridian.
Well, if we do it for Jackson, why don't we do it for other cities? We only do things like that for Jackson on a big, wide basis like that. It all comes down to them. Now then, I want to get my Chris McDaniel stuff in. I'm not going to take questions, but
we are. It's just that 30 minutes, Chuck, is going to go by pretty fast. But if you want to call back, if you want to call back and ask him something, we can get you on. So
let's talk about some facts.
All right.
The quickest way to mess up any kind of committee or spending money or anything is put a liberal Democrat in charge of it. Would y'all agree to that? Pretty much.
I can't disagree with
it. Okay. So Delbert Hosemann appointed Democrats over the committee. We worked so hard for the Republicans to take control of the House and the Senate over there, and along comes Delbert Hosemann putting Democrats in charge of committees and spending money. That makes no sense, y'all. That makes no sense. Delbert Hosemann helped Benny Thompson by redrawing his lines, making his district stronger for him, and also took votes away from a Republican candidate over there. Took votes because they moved some of his district into Benny Thompson.
Right.
Why would a Republican, so-called conservative Republican, do anything like that, guys? And all right, maybe one other quick example of what Delbert Hosemann is all about. Years ago, Donald Trump, after he got in office, he saw what was coming in 2020. He saw the election fraud that had taken place in 2016, and he said it's going to be a lot worse in 2020. He devised a committee to come up to try to prevent voter fraud. The committee contacted everybody in the state, all secretaries of state throughout the nation. When they contacted Delbert Hosemann, guys, what did he tell them? Go jump in the Gulf of Mexico. I am not going to go along with what you're trying to do. He told them that was what he told the chairman of Donald Trump's committee. Go jump in the Gulf of Mexico. He wasn't going to go along with it. So, and we would have no state income tax. They said, well, we couldn't get it out of committee because we didn't have enough votes. You don't know if you had enough votes or not. Delbert Hosemann didn't let it come out of committee. But anyway, that's fact, guys. That ain't Chuck making it up. That ain't Chris McDaniels making it up. That's what Delbert. This commercial, man, this guy sounds like a great conservative. And then you get to look at what he's done. We got a chance to elect a real conservative. But the reason we have rhino politicians is because we got a lot of rhino voters. They talk good when they get a chance. Oh, I'm a conservative, and go back and vote for rhino. So anyway, we got a chance to change that on lieutenant governor this year and hopefully put him in the governor's office 4 years from now. But anyway, I appreciate your time, guys. Thanks a lot.
All right, thank you. All right, 601-485-9191. Hey, we real quick need to thank our good friend Jeffrey Wilson down at Jeffrey Wilson State Farm Insurance. Of course, Jeffrey, you know, Paul, you know a lot of folks in the community that do a lot to give back, and Jeffrey is one of those. He is involved in so much here in East Mississippi. He is unbelievable in what he does in the community.
Work with him a lot. He's very good.
And, of course, folks, if you're looking to combine your home and auto insurance, you can do that at State Farm like a good neighbor. Of course, Jeffrey's office is located just right up from us here off of Highway 39. Of course, you can go by and see him there at his office. Got a good staff over there. And, of course, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there with our good buddy Jeffrey Wilson State Farm. So if you're looking to get involved with a good insurance agent, that's the folks to go see is Jeffrey Wilson State Farm Insurance, because he is community-minded at State Farm Insurance.
And having worked side by side with him at Pancake Jubilee for about 20 years, I can tell you he's one of the hardest working guys we have in the club. And if he works half as hard for you at his insurance company as he does for Pancake Jubilee, you're going to have a good insurance agent.
Yeah, home, auto, life, whatever it might be, they can get you squared away at Jeffrey Wilson State Farm. Let's go back to the phone line real quick before we go to our next commercial break. Hey, caller, good morning.
Good morning, Rob and Paul.
Hey.
I have a question in reference to the drone.
Yeah.
Do they have someone trained to work that drone at MPD?
That's a heck of a question.
I would assume that training would come with the purchase or be part of that purchase package. I'm guessing. I know from a computer equipment standpoint, that's typically the way we work.
My understanding is Lima has gone through some training, and that's kind of not an easy thing for some of them to learn. And in the event that they get a person, that probably will be one person that they'll train, what if that person quits?
Understood, but usually in that situation, drones are sexy, so I don't think they'll have. I don't think they'll have any problem getting more than one person who wants to be trained on it.
Now, wait a minute. It depends on the person's ability to learn. They have people who can't even do the reports, the criminal reports. So you're talking about a drone.
Right.
I had a drone until it got into the pond, but anyway, it was not an easy task to maneuver. That's the reason I asked this.
Yeah,
I understand.
And mine had a Go camera on it, too.
Right. Well, I hope you'll be listening in a few minutes. Chris McDaniel just got here a few moments ago.
I am. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. 601-485-9191. Before we take our next commercial break, let's thank our good friend Tony Creel down at Tony Southern Sportsman.
Tony Creel. Man, I tell you, once again, I get to talk about one of my good friends. Tony's a good guy, and he knows everything there is to know about all your outdoor sports. And he has all you need for all the different things that you want to do, whether it's archery or shooting or camo or fishing or you name it. Whatever your outdoor needs or wants are, Tony can support you at Tony's Southern Sportsman. They're right downtown on Front Street, right across from Brakeman Park. It's really easy to find. It's a white building with a deer on top. There's not many deer hanging out on top of buildings.
That's right.
And, they even have that archery range underneath the bridge so you can try some stuff out. And I don't know of a single guy in town that you could go to and ask any question, and he is more knowledgeable than Tony is about that topic. And he will be happy to share that information with you. He is open. His store hours are Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 5 p.m. So they fixing to open the doors. So if you can listen to our show on the way down to Tony's and be there right at 9 o'clock, he'll be glad to help you. Saturday from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And his phone number is 601-693-4111. That's 601-693-4111.
All right, we're going to take a commercial break. On the other side of the break, we're going to visit with Lieutenant Governor candidate Chris McDaniel here on Mornings in Meridian. So stay close.
stop them. Delbert Hosemann hasn't done that. In fact, to show you how bad it is, we only have 16 Democrats in the state Senate, just 16. He appointed 13 of those Democrats to powerful chairmanships.
Wow.
They've killed the income tax elimination bill. They've killed our term limits bill. They've killed our recall mechanism bill. You name it, they've killed it. And he's empowering those people. And we're trying to save a country here, for goodness sake. So that's why I ran.
Income tax. We had a caller that called a few moments ago about income tax, and he talked about it not getting out of committee. That's been a hot button issue on this show. Where's your stance on that? I know that's a big platform for with the income tax
It's one of the big
elimination.
differences I have with Delbert. I want to be real clear about this. We have to eliminate the income tax. We have to. We must for Mississippi's future. Tennessee doesn't have an income tax.
Right.
Texas doesn't have one. Florida doesn't have one. Those states are productive and they're energized.
Right.
We need jobs in this state. I'm sick of the handouts. I'm sick of the freeloaders. We need jobs in this state. The way to create jobs is to let people keep more of their hard-earned money. And what happens is they bring it home, they use it to consume goods and services. That's how economies are driven forward. So look, we're going to eliminate the income tax as quickly as we can. I think that's a number one agenda item.
Good deal.
I have a question for you, and this may help people in a lot of ways. We kind of made a joke of this earlier, or at least I did. I'm not going to throw this on Rob.
Jokes? We don't do jokes.
I was making a joke about, this was a race for the number 2 position in the state.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Tell us, kind of within short strokes, what is the role of the lieutenant governor in the state of Mississippi? Why is that an attractive place to be to accomplish these kind of things, I guess is what I'm getting at.
It's an incredibly powerful position. In fact, in our state government, it is the most powerful position we have. It's even stronger than the governor, and here's why. The LG is empowered to appoint committees.
Okay.
Not just committees, the chairman of those committees.
Gotcha.
Like I said, Delbert's appointed 13 Democrats, and because of that, it's stopping conservative reform from being passed. But also the legislation. He gets to pick and choose where to send the legislation. If he sends it to a friendly committee, it passes. If he sends it to a killing committee or a bad committee, it's dead.
Right.
So he has all the power to control all of those matters. Now, here's the thing that concerns me. We outnumber the Democrats in that chamber 36-16. Now, consider that. We have a 20-vote spread. Guys, we should be passing everything we've ever dreamt of.
Right.
We ought to be telling Joe Biden to go fly a kite, for goodness sakes. But we're doing nothing. We're sitting there letting the Democrats control the chamber.
Gotcha.
That's what Delbert Hosemann has done.
Okay.
Well, we talked about your opponent, Mr. Hosemann, and we always see, I'm the more conservative one. I'm the more conservative one. Well, it's the Republican primary, you against him, and I know there's other folks that are running for this position as well, but what is that distinction? Delbert the Democrat, we've heard that before. What makes you different than Mr. Hosemann?
Well, let's start with the way the press frames the race, because the press loves Delbert Hosemann, particularly the Mississippi press that's liberal.
Right.
They call him the moderate leader of the moderate wing of our party. They call me the conservative leader of the conservative wing of our party. We have to decide what kind of party we want.
Right.
I'm a conservative, and everybody knows it. Now, here's the thing. He claims X, Y, and Z, but this record shows otherwise. Conservatives don't appoint 13 Democrats to chairmanships. Conservatives don't kill a bill that would have eliminated the income tax. Conservatives don't kill a bill that would have given us term limits or a recall mechanism. We have a ton of legislation out there to pass that would save this state from the likes of Joe Biden. And Delbert Hosemann every single time has stood with the Democrats. And if you ask the Democrats in our chamber, they'll tell you they've had the best 4 years they've had in a generation because of one man. Look, it's inexcusable. We are fighting for the survival of a country right now. It's degraded culturally, morally, and government is degraded as well. We don't promote Democrats in this environment. We defeat Democrats in this environment. And when I'm elected, we're not going to put Democrats in control. We're going to put them in the corner, and we're going to show them how adults govern. That's the only way to save this state. Now, while I'm venting, I want you to consider this.
Wait. I just want you to take a breath.
Can't do it.
I
Can't do it.
I can't do it. No, I want you to just tell us how you really feel.
I'm getting there.
Okay.
I'm about 2 sentences away.
I love it.
No, it's crazy because we have this whole country and we all recognize the problems.
Right.
And you think, well, where can we actually save it? That's the real question we should be asking ourselves, because you're not going to save California. You're not going to save Massachusetts, New York. So where can we still hold the line? The answer is states like Mississippi.
Well, I've always felt that you needed to take care of your own backyard first, and then let the rest fall where it is. But at the end of the day, we're pretty much a red state, and we kind of need to stay that way, I think, because people are fleeing those other places.
They are.
The problem is they bring their politics with them.
They do.
That's the hard part.
Now, I'm going to blow your mind now. People think we're a red state. They believe that. The American Conservative Union ranks these states every year based on the votes we take as legislatures.
Okay.
Right? Okay. So keep in mind, objective votes, not subjective. They're looking at how we are governed. Mm-hmm. Right now, according to the American Conservative Union, we have the second most liberal legislature in the southeastern United States. To put things in perspective, Michigan has a more conservative legislature than Mississippi. Wow. If you look at the ACU map, it shows we are not a red state. We're a bluish hue.
Really?
Wow.
And that's embarrassing.
And that's a direct result of that committee assignment process.
That's Delbert Hosemann.
Gotcha.
Chris, will you take a phone call? Got some listeners calling in. 601-485-9191. We're visiting with Lieutenant Governor candidate Chris McDaniel. Caller, you're on the air with Mr. McDaniel.
Hey, Chris, like I said,
Whoop, kind of cutting out on us there.
what about now?
Yeah, hang on to that limb a little stronger. Yeah, we may have lost him. We'll try him back here.
Let him try back in a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Find him a good spot.
Well, I know there's an issue that we deal with. I mean, everybody deals with it all over the country, and I know Jackson's had the problem with crime. Meridian has a major problem with crime right now, and we've talked about this exhaustively here on our program, is combining law enforcement agencies, Sheriff's Department and Meridian Police as well. We have a bad crime problem here. We had 3 robberies just in the last 2 days. We had one yesterday. Hours. Shootings. I mean, it's just gotten out of control. What can we do as a state to try to help communities like Meridian that are understaffed with our police department? What can we do to help communities out like ours to maybe get in a better spot?
Well, first we have to identify the problem, and there are a couple of problems. Crime is a complex issue. I think not to make light of it, but the one common denominator, whether it's Chicago or Detroit or Jackson or now Meridian, is that Democrats are in control of the government. And that sometimes creates an issue because you have lax law enforcement policies. Now, here's the thing. Obviously, the first thing we do to stop crime is to make the police department stronger by making sure you have more officers. We defend the blue line, not defund it. We defend it. We fight for it. And we make sure the officers have everything in their disposal to take care of these bad elements. But there's a cultural issue here as well, and it's something I think we might be missing. We could throw all the money in the world at a depraved heart, and we can't change that heart. As Christianity has been moved out of society, it's been marginalized by the American left, something else has filled that void. And it's not something that's attractive because it makes people hate, it makes people divisive, it takes away the value of life among people. My position is the state has a role, certainly, but churches and charities and organizations have got to reach out inside these communities and get a hold of these young people early.
Yeah.
And they got to teach them that there's more to life than crime. You do have hope. You have prosperity. You have to just do the right things. Somewhere along the line, we got away from the things that really civilized us, that made us Americans.
Right.
I believe there's a cultural component there we have to repair first, or all the money in the world can't save it.
Yeah, because I know the big call here locally is, why can't we combine all the law enforcement together? But, we got to, like you said, crime is a complex issue, for sure.
It's very complex, and there are certain things we can do to fight it. I'm not suggesting an absence of state power. I'm suggesting that we better start tackling the root causes first. And, I think, again, being the closed-minded guy that I am, that Christianity needs to be reinstilled in the hearts and minds of these people, all people, and it gives us a fighting chance to bring civility back.
Well, there's two issues here that I think we're talking about locally. First of all, we have a very strong sheriff's department. They do a really great job, and they're really after it, right?
Yeah.
But one of the issues that they're up against is this. We were kind of laughing about it because you don't have any choice but the catch and release approach to justice. And frankly, I'm frustrated because the 2 tiers of justice we seem to have in our country anyway. All of that makes it to where, well, if they're not going to get punished for doing what they're doing, why should I try to live up to the law or anything else? Absolutely. So kind of address that, if you would, from a standpoint of what would Lieutenant Governor, what impact would you have directly in terms of either improving the justice system to where we're not just catch and release?
Right.
What do we do to try to keep the criminals off the street? I mean, I understand where you're talking about the big picture things like the Christianity.
Let's talk about it. Justice demands swift punishment.
Right.
Swift punishment. You can't have justice if prosecutors are choosing not to prosecute. And we have some areas in our country, perhaps not here yet, but I think it could be coming, where you have these prosecutors that are prosecuting based on political leanings as opposed to right or wrong statutory law. To the extent that happens here, they have to be removed. There has to be a way to get those people off of the positions and find objective prosecutors that will uphold the law. Yeah, but the other problem we've got, when you have a violent criminal and there are crimes of violence, whether it's rape or murder, the idea they can find a new life outside of the jail bothers me greatly. I'm tired of this release system we've got. I'm sick of it. And I'm sick of these components you see in other cities. They have these bail-free movements and things of that nature. We have to have law and order in this society. We have to. And that structure has to exist to make sure the criminals recognize that if they do violate the law, there's going to be a swift punishment to pay.
Okay. Let's go back to our phone line this morning as we continue our visit with Chris McDaniel, candidate for lieutenant governor here in the state of Mississippi. Hey, caller, good morning. You're on with Chris McDaniel.
Good morning. This is a different question, but I had read where the Mississippi Right to Life and the National Right to Life had endorsed Delbert Hosemann, and I just wanted to know what Chris's response to that would be.
Yeah.
And I'll hang up and listen.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Absolutely. I'm happy to talk about that, and I think it's an important issue. Remember how politics works in this society. A lot of those endorsements are what's called pay for play. If you're the incumbent, you got some money, you get the endorsement. Those two organizations have not been effective in Mississippi at all. Our effective organization is Pro-Life Mississippi. That's the grassroots organization that does things. He basically paid for that endorsement. So let's talk about the right to the life issue. I have fought my entire life to protect the unborn. I have a long record of that. It's clear as a bell. In fact, the very bill that made it to the Supreme Court to reverse Roe versus Wade, I supported that bill and fought for that bill. During Delbert's life, it's been different. Now, this is going to be shocking to you, but I want you to go look it up yourself, and I hope she does as well. In 1976, Mississippi opened up an abortion clinic. A company did. Do you know who their vice president was from 1976 to 1992?
Who was
Delbert
that?
Hosemann.
Wow.
So look, you can go out and pay for endorsements. You can pretend that matters, but a lifetime of betraying that cause is what people should be focused on. So I'm happy to people to know where I stand. I've been a 100% pro-life politician my entire life, and that's where I'm always going to be.
Let's go back to the phone line. Got another caller with a question here. Good morning, caller. You're on the air with Chris McDaniel.
Y'all got me now?
Yeah, we got you now. I think the limb's good and sturdy now.
Good. Chris, so great to meet you last night. A few politicians I want to meet, but you were one of them along with Donald Trump. It's so great that we're going to have a chance to vote for a true conservative instead of a rhino, election in, election out, all these rhinos. But I'm so happy on the statewide office we got a true conservative. Here in East Central Mississippi, we're totally neglected as far as business, industry, new opportunities. A lot of that has to do with Jackson. The Continental Tire is a prime example. We got a big site out here at Kewanee. Millions of dollars have been spent on that site, and when Continental Tire come in, it wasn't even considered. We will need you to help us when you get elected. We need you badly. We got some poor leadership over here. We're going to need you to step in and get us something going over here for East Central Mississippi. Now hang up and listen. Thank you, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. That's very kind. And it's always nice to be mentioned in the same sentence as Donald Trump.
I was about to say, that's got to make you feel good.
Oh, it always does, right? It does. Here's the thing. We have to create an environment for widespread economic growth. We do that by eliminating the income tax, and then by reducing this burdensome regulations that these businesses have to live with. If we create the right environment, businesses will come. And absolutely, this part of Mississippi needs and deserves economic productivity. Remember, I'm just down the road from you guys.
That's right.
I'm right there in Laurel and Ellisville.
Yeah,
and that's just down Interstate 59.
Hop and a skip.
We're basically neighbors. You know,
that's
the interstate makes us friends, right?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, we need to develop this part of the state because our people need jobs. Jobs can fix and correct a variety of societal ills, right? Uninsurance, jobs. Homelessness, get a job. Hunger, jobs. We don't need any more handouts in this state. We need jobs, and we're going to do everything in our power to create jobs for Mississippi.
I had a politician one time told me that the future of Meridian was public housing. And I thought, obviously you don't understand economic development, but one of the issues that I have, and this is something that's personal to me because I am a small business owner, is the fact that we seem to also want to make sure that we don't forget when we're talking about bringing businesses to communities and trying to do that kind of thing, is to grow the businesses that are already here. I would really love to see an effort made by economic development folks to help 100 businesses add one employee, as opposed to bringing in a 100-employee business, because at the end of the day, that means the water's rising and all boats are floating.
Great point.
Right.
Great point.
So I hear what you're saying, but I would say a caveat would be make sure that we're also including helping the people who have come and started their business without any tax credits, without any benefits. We started a business because we were passionate about it. Help us grow our business.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. Now, remember, one of the best ways for businesses to grow is for the government to get out of the way. And what the system we've got now is government is literally picking winners and losers. It decides the site location. It decides who gets the tax credits. And that's almost always big donors. If you notice that, it's almost always the rich and the wealthy. If we create a slate for growth, you'll see that growth you're talking about. We've seen it because other states have done it. Texas, Florida, Tennessee, but also back this country as a whole in the 60s. Remember Kennedy, of all people, a Democrat, pushed for income tax reductions. Right. And we saw 7 years of uninterrupted economic growth. Reagan in the 80s, same thing. When you reduce that income tax, jobs and productivity flows in. But I agree with you. We need to make sure the small businesses are protected, create an environment for their growth.
Well, I think that's why the income tax is such a big issue, because at the end of the day, what you've just done, you haven't increased in an inflationary way wages, but you've given people more money to spend, which if you have more money to spend, you have more in turning over in the economy and potentially have a big impact without forcing a $15 an hour wage or a $20 an hour wage.
Exactly. It's a huge thing. Think about it. If all these people collectively keep all that money, they're going to consume with it, right? Goods and services. That consumption drives local growth.
Sure.
But also it drives sales tax revenue, which is a more fair tax.
Right.
It's a much more fair tax. Income tax is punitive. It punishes success. At least the sales tax, you get to choose, and everybody sit equally.
Sure.
We're visiting with Chris McDaniel, Lieutenant Governor Ken. I almost said governor. That almost sounds pretty good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Why stop there?
Why stop there? Go for the moon.
Give him time.
There we go. 601-485-9191. If you got a question for Mr. McDaniel here on the program, I always say Mr. McDaniel because I'm polite like that, but it's Chris. Let's talk education. Of course, education took a pretty bad blow during COVID, and I know everybody's trying to rebound after the pandemic. Schools are underperforming in a lot of places all over Mississippi. I know education is a big platform for you as well.
It is. And it has to be. My wife is a public school teacher.
Well, there you go.
And so she's told me many times, you better not. And, so I'm a big public school proponent. My wife is, her mother was, my mother-in-law, 30-plus years in the system, and my father was a professor. So public education's always been near and dear to my heart. The key here is this. We have to make sure the monies that we spend actually get to the teachers and the classroom. And that's one of the most frustrating obstacles sometimes, because administration costs, particularly in Jackson, can eat away at that dollar.
Yeah.
I want to make sure teachers have that money for their supplies, for their income, and that students actually get the benefit of that money. Also, I think teachers should be allowed some flexibility. I think that the teachers I'm talking to are very upset they're having to teach to the test. Have you been hearing that complaint?
I've heard that a little bit, yeah.
You have these standardized tests, and the teachers are like, my goodness, we just teach to the test. And then teachers are professionals. We have to treat them like professionals. They're brilliant people. Give them some flexibility in that classroom, because every classroom is somewhat different. But let's just make sure the money gets to the people that need it. And lastly, in some of these failing school districts out there, it's not fair to trap these children in those failing school districts. Parents need options. The children need options, and I'm prepared to move that direction for sure.
Well, I know we watch the national news all the time, and you hear the Democrats, especially our president, Joe Biden, want to come take your guns away. Second Amendment rights. I know being a true conservative, you will fight for our Second Amendment rights if you are elected lieutenant governor, but it bothers me so bad that when a crime happens, it's the gun's fault. Yeah. It's not the individual, but just your thoughts on Second Amendment.
I have several rifles. You've probably seen my pictures on Facebook.
Oh, yeah.
I'm very, very proud of that. And, the other morning I walked by my AR-15, and strangely enough, it just laid there. It didn't shoot at me. It just sat
It's amazing how that works, right?
It didn't chase you down the hall.
Nothing. It was just a regular object. I happen to love firearms, and I'll be honest. I have two AR-15s. I have an AK-47. I have a bunch of other rifles, and under no circumstances is the government ever going to take those guns from me. The state of Mississippi has a responsibility to protect its citizens, to the extent that Joe Biden or anybody else tries something like that, we will interpose. We will stand in the way and make sure that doesn't happen. Also, I have a bill that I think could address it. It's called the anti-commandeering doctrine.
Okay.
People may not realize this, but if the feds were to try something stupid, they don't have the manpower, not even to regulate or confiscate. They just lack the manpower. So they use state agents and agencies to implement their wishes. No more. We'll pass a law that makes sure that state agencies and agents stand down and will not cooperate with any confiscation scheme or regulation scheme involving firearms. We need to send the message, guys. And I'm not trying to sound like an alarmist here, but under no circumstances will we ever give up our weapons in the state of Mississippi, period. And the sooner the federal government recognizes that, the better off we'll all be.
Quick question about, since we brought up the Second Amendment, let's talk about the Constitution for a second.
Yeah.
And some of the decisions that have come out of the Supreme Court. You mentioned the Roe versus Wade overturned earlier. And then we had one this week, which was really, it was a judge that put an injunction on the ability of the Biden administration to actually impact social media. Can you give us a 30-second overview of how you feel about some of those decisions that are coming out of the Supreme Court
Yeah,
this
let
year?
me tell you about that. I've studied the court for years, and we saw for literally a generation, almost 2 generations, where the court was an activist court. They would literally read rights into the Constitution. They would rewrite the Constitution whenever it suited them. This new court is incredibly persuasive, powerful, and impressive. Thanks to Donald Trump, in large part. He's given us 3 of these new justices, and they are outstanding. Right. I'm a big Clarence Thomas guy, by the way.
Big fan of Clarence Thomas.
I love that guy. I've had lunch with him a couple of times throughout the years.
And his arguments in favor of getting rid of the affirmative action was just, that you learn so much about the legal thought process in the Constitution just by reading his opinion.
Brilliant legal mind. Brilliant. And something else I love about him, he's humble.
Wow.
You know, it's very seldom that he talks a lot when the court's in session. He doesn't ask a lot of questions. A lot of justices like to hear themselves talk.
Sure.
He's just a fine human being. He's an incredible person. But Alito was great. Amy is great. We have a lot of new justices that are giving us a lot of good constitutional life now. I think it's been wonderful. We've seen a lot of cool 6-3 decisions, and every time I think, wow. but I'm a bit disappointed sometimes in this. Why did it take the court to take that action?
Right.
We've had control of the government many times during this time period. We should have just done that ourselves. But we thank God for this new court.
Real quick, we got about 2 or 3 minutes left here. We got time for one more phone call. Good morning, caller. You're on with Chris McDaniel.
Hey, Chris, Ed Pierce here. I don't know if you remember me or not. But,
yes, sir.
At any rate, what I was calling about, you know, Delbert, in the last session, did away with Melanie Sojourner's Republican seat in the Senate around Adams County and that area, and replaced it with a Democrat.
Yes, sir.
Made it gerrymandered so that a Democrat would get it. Do you know the reasoning but why he did that, and maybe what other choices he had to do besides get rid of a conservative Republican like Melanie?
Yes, sir.
I appreciate that. We're going to let you go so he can answer, okay?
Okay. By the way, it's good to hear from you again, Ed. Here's the thing. We had redistricting, and it happens every 10 years. And usually when Republicans control a chamber, they actually add Republican seats. That's the way it's supposed to work.
That's the way it's supposed to.
Not with Delbert Hosemann. He committed the political assassination of one of the most conservative members of the chamber. Senator Sojourner represented Southwest Mississippi, a conservative rock star. So Delbert had to protect the Democrats, and he did.
Wow.
He literally redrew her district where her black voting age population was in excess of 60%, making her election impossible.
Wow.
He protected Democrats, and he actually eliminated a conservative superstar. But that's who he is. People are going to see this eventually. He's always been that way. He always will be.
Chris, we got 1 minute left before Glenn Beck takes over our radio station, but just give you an opportunity to speak to the voters here in East Central Mississippi.
You know, I share the concerns you all do. I've seen this country over the last few years degraded. I've seen our leadership degraded. I know for a fact that Mississippi is one of the few places left where we can fight back against this nonsense. I'm asking for you to send a fighter to Jackson. We can hold the line here. We can save what's left of our country here. We can push back, rebalance the system, and tell Washington that we are here to stay. Look, guys, it's really simple. we have to stand and defend ourselves. And we do that politically. We fight for our belief system. And if we do that, we'll win the day. Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Texas, the few strongholds left, let's fight like it and let's turn this country around.
Well, Chris, we appreciate you coming by to see us, and we wish you all the best. We're about a month away from this, August 8th. I know you're going to be campaigning hard. So.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Thank you all.
Paul, have a good weekend.
Rob, this was a lot of fun. Thank you for letting me come and hang out with you.
Absolutely. Folks, have a great weekend. We'll talk to you again on Monday here on Mornings in Meridian.
Meridian's News Talk leader is 102.